Hey there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kayleigh, and today we are talking about how to start a healing journey. The reason that I'm calling this the start of a healing journey and not a wellness journey is because wellness is typically the maintenance of healing that has already gone underway, whereas healing is like the start. You get what I'm saying? Healing is when you finally hit that wall and you realize what you've been doing isn't working and you need to transform some of these things going on inside. That's healing versus wellness. Is there a wrong way to heal? I think yes. And this is absolutely just my opinion, and I pretty much stand by my opinion. But when I say that there is a wrong or a right way to heal, I do not mean down into the nitty-gritty details of what people choose to do for their healing. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is there is a difference between shooting an arrow into the darkness and shooting an arrow at a target. If you shoot an arrow at a target, you're not always going to hit a bullseye, and it may even take you time to actually hit the target, but you have so much more of a chance to actually hit the target than you do if you're just shooting arrows into the darkness. So that is the difference between the right or wrong as we move forward into this topic. There are three key elements, key understandings that you need to have when you begin a healing journey. The first two are root understandings, and the third one is practical application of these understandings. Now, let me say, these three elements are pillars, components, okay? We will have content later on actually diving into sculpting these and figuring out more within the realm of what I'm talking about. Whew, that's enough abstract language. Let's get truly into this topic. The first thing you need to understand when you start a healing journey is the way in which holistic health actually works. Holistic health has become a very intense buzzword in the online wellness community, and when something becomes a buzzword, it loses meaning. Your holistic health contains 5 key components to it. These components are physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social health. Now, I need to say that the social component is something I have added to it. When I have actually studied holistic health, it's always only the first 4. But I think that the social element is also important, and we'll get into that in just a second. So let me break down what these 5 elements actually entail. Your physical health is the state of your vessel, the body that houses your soul. All right? Your mental health is the state of your mindset, your thought patterns. Your emotional health is the relevance and stability of your emotions. For example, when we have emotions that are really out of proportion to situations at hand, this is giving us a key understanding of where our emotional well-being may be resting. Your spiritual health is your closeness to God and the will that He has for you in your life. And your social health is the way in which you think toward people, whether you are loving them or harming them. And this includes strangers. Where we start to get the need to have deeper conversations about holistic health is that the general wellness community talks about how they're very interconnected and very intertwined, but doesn't really explain how. These 5 elements, and traditionally it's just the 4, but I include social, are compartmentalized, but actually 100% intertwined. There is no compartmentalization to them, but our only way to be able to break it down and understand what's going on is to compartmentalize. So when you're diving into holistic health, what has been lost in the buzzword of it is the reality that these things actually have a very intricate, intertwined reality. And I know that people really do try to teach that, but there's deeper science on it, which we are diving into right now. The science of understanding the interconnectivity of these elements of health is called, in the medical world, psychoneuroimmunology. So we compartmentalize these 5 elements to try to understand with words and logic what they mean, but the interconnectedness goes cell deep. So for example, you may be experiencing symptoms of anxiety. Symptoms of anxiety can be caused by an overactive amygdala. It can be caused by a lack of amino acids. It can be caused by feelings of separation from God. It can be caused by so many different things, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and it's all working together. This is why monitoring all 5 is important, but understanding their interconnectedness is key to being able to monitor what's going on. All these 4 elements, 5, but traditionally 4, the mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical elements of your health are impacting you for the healing or for the destruction of your well-being. This, in common term, is called body-mind connection. This topic is so essential for you to actually start wrapping your mind around and understanding when you're healing, because when you're trying to heal something in an abstract form only, you don't understand how to grasp the tangible healing at hand. Healing is a very experiential season in life. We feel it, we experience it, we walk it. So having a deeper understanding for the reality that certain traumas and emotions are actually lodged in the body and require a holistic approach to healing to be able to process and transform empowers us to not only equip this process, but be aware of it as we experience it. This topic is so rich and juicy that I will be having a series about this topic coming soon, all right? So stay in with me. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel now if you haven't already, all right? Let's get into this. The second key understanding that you need to equip when you begin a healing journey is called symbolic sight. Let's look at the Google definitions of symbolic sight together. The first definition that pops up on Google is symbolic sight enables you to look behind your eyes, meaning that you step out of your 3D physical reality and into a spiritual 5D perspective. And another definition that comes up is symbolic sight offers you 3 pathways to understand how psychological archetypes function in your life. You can learn how to choose and activate archetypes which serve to empower you and identify those that are not serving your highest good. These definitions are horrible and they don't lead you anywhere. If you hook into symbolic sight in this very abstract spiritual way, then what you're going to do is spin on coincidences and never actually make any movement that is meaningful forward and deeply into your healing journey. I advise instead to take on the understanding of symbolic sight that is this. Symbolic sight is to recognize the patterns or symbols that keep reoccurring in your life and then to equip the wisdom to ask God for understanding on these patterns and symbols. Every single one of us employs the understanding that we have from our experiences in our life. We see life through a lens that is clouded and darkened by the experiences we have had. We know that this is a phenomena among human beings. We know that people are extremely committed to their own experience, their own mindsets, their own ways. But God says, my ways are higher than your ways and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. You cannot grasp the wisdom and deep meaning on your life without asking God to open your understanding on what is set before you. If you do not ask God, then what you're going to do is just be caught up chasing the wind of wondering what's going on. You're literally going to spin on coincidences. And I know this because I have been in that season of my life. When I didn't have the wisdom to ask God, what does this mean? I was coming up with all kinds of ideas of what things could mean, and all they did was led me in loops and loops and loops, and that's exhausting. You're never going to make sense of things if you do not humble yourself and ask God, Yahweh, to reveal to you the true deep meaning of what is happening in your life. This is symbolic sight. Recognizing that there are patterns and there are symbols, and then turning the understanding over to God and asking for His grace and mercy to open your understanding and teach you the deeper meaning of what these symbols and patterns are. This is really important to equip because it causes us to start zooming out a little bit on what's going on. When we live in the patterns, we don't see the patterns, we just ride the waves. But when we can actually zoom out and use symbolic sight and start tracking these patterns and recognize that there are patterns, this is how we get empowered to be able to pause, turn it to God and ask for wisdom and understanding. But if we never pause, we never ask for the wisdom and understanding. If we never see the pattern, we never ask questions about the pattern. That is why symbolic sight is a very essential step, understanding to equip in a healing journey. Because when you are healing, you are trying to make sense of the aftermath caused by whatever has instigated the lack of health in you. You are trying to make sense of your own behaviors, your own thought patterns, your own mindsets. You're trying to make sense of the mess of your life so that you can get out of it, so that it can transform, so that it can change. You have to be able to recognize patterns. You have to be able to recognize symbols, and you have to humble down and ask God for the wisdom and understanding. The third thing that is so key and important to a healing journey that is just beginning is our practical application, and that is to document. Now, I know that there are a lot of people who don't like journaling, and they don't want to journal out their feelings and their thoughts and their emotions. Fine. But you need to understand that your body and your mind need to be able to take on the opportunity to process. I want you to realize that when you are healing, everything gets intense. I think you can already realize this. If you are this far into the video and you've clicked on this video, then you probably have already experienced the way life gets very intense once you start to recognize those patterns and you start to stand against the waves instead of just drift on them, right? So when I say you need to document, what I'm saying is you need to take the time to either drop anchor in those waves and steady the ship, or you need to come up for breath. So you need to keep track of what are you feeling, what are you doing to assist yourself in this healing journey, how are you taking care of yourself, what triggers are happening, what emotions are happening. You need to start documenting the process, and I would say daily. And this doesn't have to look like just sentences and sentences and sentences of journaling. It doesn't even need to look like diving into the past. It needs to look like being very committed to processing today. Process today, because your body-mind system is trying so hard to process such intense things. It needs your help. You need to help it process, and writing is one of the key ways to do that because it's words, it's motion, it's visual art in our minds, it's very tangible. It's less abstract than actual art process. Now, of course, art is amazing for healing too, but that's a different story. These are very key pillars. This season of very intense writing will come to an end. So understand that this isn't just what you're doing now for the rest of your life, but this is an essential step you are taking in this very essential season of healing very deep things. Documenting your triggers, documenting your prayers, your emotions, your reactions, how much food you're eating, how much sleep you're getting, how much water you're drinking, basically keeping a healing journal, a health journal for the very intense purpose of keeping in alignment with the need to heal. Because if we don't have some point of check-in, we get off path, we get off target. I want you to consider it like charting a patient if you're a nurse or a doctor. Patients have charts. We keep detailed information on them. You are your own patient in this season, and you need to chart, document your progress. These three things coming together, understanding, like truly understanding the interconnectedness of your body and your mind, your body-mind connection, using symbolic sight in a way that is humbling yourself before God and asking for God to make sense of all these symbols and patterns, and documenting the process so that you actually proactively assist yourself in processing and you keep yourself accountable to taking the steps you need to take. These three pillars come in and really support a healing journey. Because it brings in understanding, it brings in humility and open-mindedness, and it brings in accountability and proactive action. Now, there are so many wonderful pieces, so many tools that we can sprinkle into all of this, but these are the key components to starting a healing journey. So if you're thinking, okay, I've just watched this video, I've just listened to all of this, what do I do now? Get a journal, get a notebook. And I, symbolically for myself, I would get a new one or I would tear out old pages. I would blank slate a journal and I would write at the start, this is the start of my healing journey. Date it. And then start thinking about the things you want to keep track of. Think about your holistic health for a second. And then also consider this a place to write notes for healing. I would find a book on body-mind connection. The Body Keeps the Score is a good one. Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom is an interesting one. There are multiple sources. Also, that type of content will be happening here, so I'd subscribe to this channel if you've made it through and this is resonating with you. So keep notes, study healing the mind and the body, study the process of healing the mind and the body. Open yourself up to God and get humble and ask for the understanding on these patterns and thoughts. Write these patterns and symbols down. Write the patterns. Write, when I'm triggered, I feel angry, or when I'm triggered, I feel alone. Identify these things, give it words, and let this journal get messy, get creative, get colorful. Let it be. Don't try to control it. Just let it be. This is the style of healing that I experienced when I started my healing journey. And it wasn't something that I had someone coach me through. It was something that organically happened that I have realized is very valuable. I was able to heal really intense symptoms of very intense mental disorders in a very short amount of time because I really dove into the science of understanding why lack of health impacts us as much as it does, and how the process of healing actually works, and then humbling myself before God and asking for His wisdom and understanding to open my own and teach me what I need to do, and then documenting. I had about a 2-year period where I just journaled, wrote poetry, wrote stories, did all kinds of things that helped me process what was going on the inside and then transform it so that now I am able to live in this present moment today and not live in that past anymore. I really hope that this video has served you and I really appreciate your time. That's all that I have for you today. My name is Kayleigh. I love making content about healing, wellness, and faith and how it all works together. Thank you so much for making it through this video, and if you'd like to check out what else I have on my channel, I'd appreciate that so much. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe. Share this with someone if it really benefited you. If this was beneficial to you and you've thought of someone who it could benefit, share it with them as well. And let me know what you think in the comments. We'd love to hear it. I'm such an awkward goodbyer on here. You know, it's difficult. You get into such a flow in the video and then you're trying to say goodbye and it's like, wait a minute, I'm talking to a camera. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time. Your holistic health, it has an hang on. You're okay. You're all right. Whatever happens, there's gonna be something good, so just keep going. Oh, I'm feeling so anxious talking about these things. Your physical health, your mental health is, I'm getting too excited. Your emotional health is the state of your, Okay.